Hey there. Happy Wednesday. We are right here in the middle of the week. And at the time I am doing this live training, it's kind of in the sort of middle of the day. So I feel like we're right smack in the middle of it here today. I am really excited to come on today to help those of you that still love using a paper planner, as I do, but because of the world that we live in right now, we are often all required in some way, shape, or form to likely use some form of a digital calendar as well. Think iCal, Gmail, Outlook, right? And if you're someone that still wants to use and prefers to use a paper planner to manage the day to day, but you know you've got to be using this digital calendar tool, it often lends itself to thinking, well, do I just have to duplicate everything? And now I feel like I'm spending all this time putting stuff that goes in my paper planner on my digital calendar and digital calendar to paper planner. Now, if you are using both, a lot of people call this a hybrid planning solution. All right. So today I want to share with you exactly how you can use both without having to duplicate information absolutely everywhere, because that would be completely exhausting, right? My name is Megan Summerall. I am a time management expert for women, and I'm on a mission to bring work life harmony into homes all over the world through time management, organization, and planning. Now, as I mentioned, I am someone that still relies on and uses a paper planner. And of course, I use the planner that I designed and I sell, the Top Planner. But I run a business and I was in technology for over 20 years. Now, if you are a fellow business owner or maybe you work outside the office, right? Chances are, in some way, shape, or form, you're kind of being forced to use a digital calendar in some parts of your life, right? Even when you go to the dentist, they send you an email with a link to say add to your calendar, assuming that you're using Gmail, iCal, or Outlook. So here's what I would love to know for you. For those of you that are on here live with me right now, let me know, are you someone that is a hybrid planner, meaning you do leverage an electronic calendar, but you prefer to operate from a paper planner? All right, so let me know if that's you. And then second, let me know what calendar tool you're using, the digital one, right? Are you a Gmail, an iCal, or an Outlook user? I'm sorry, not Gmail, a Google Calendar, iCal, or Outlook user, because chances are it's going to be one of those three. So here's what I want to do before I dive into how we make sure we're not duplicating. All right, Nikki, if you're all paper, that is amazing. I want to dive into how we can, or first, before we dive into the duplicating, kind of let's level set what I call a command center is. All right, Shauna is here and she has to use hybrid planning. All right, with Google Calendar. So regardless of whichever digital calendar you're using, ultimately what we need to decide on is what is kind of the master, or what I call my command center, meaning between the paper and the digital, what is it that throughout the day I am looking at regularly to tell me what I'm doing and when I'm doing it? All right, because we will need to pick one that is the master one, right? Whether it's paper or digital. And this is the tool that you actually do all of your weekly planning in. All right. Okay. We've got Google, we've got Outlook, we've got all sorts of folks here. So for me, my command center is my paper planner. All right. It's my Top Planner. This is where the fullest amount of detail for my week, saying what I'm doing and when I'm doing it, this is where that goes. All right. So if you're hybrid, chances are that paper planner, you're still using a paper planner because that's what you want to be your master. All right. That's what you want to have as your command center. So now let's talk about the digital. Okay. So here is a great way for you to think about the purpose and the way that digital calendar can serve you. And this is true even if you're in an office setting here, like Melissa is. All right. My digital calendar is where I am ultimately creating boundaries and deciding when am I unavailable for other people to book time with me. All right. So I repeat, my digital calendar is a tool that I get to put boundaries on that ultimately dictates when other people are allowed to book or take time with me. So let me dig into that a little bit more and explain how I set this up. All right. Now, again, I run a business. I also live a life where people are, oh, it's an orthodontist appointment. We'll send you a calendar link, right? As part of running a business, it means that people, for in certain situations, are allowed to have access to my calendar and book time with me, right? Now, if you're in an office setting, Melissa, like for you, chances are they encourage people to share their calendars, right? So that way people can go in and try and plan for meetings and find when everybody's available, right? So we need to have that visibility. Well, what we can also do with our digital calendar here is to prevent and to protect the time that we don't want people booking time with us. So the information that lives on my Google Calendar, I happen to use Google Calendar for my digital calendar, is essentially there's two types of information that live on it. One is when people are coming in and booking an appointment with me. All right. So, tomorrow I had someone who came in and booked, and I'm doing an interview for their podcast. All right. And that got set up through a calendar appointment. So, traditional appointments that involve somebody else are living there on that Google Calendar. Now, the second main source of information that's on the Google Calendar is a crap ton of time that I just have blocked off as unavailable, meaning I'm not going to let someone schedule a meeting with me at that time. I'm not taking people that come onto my podcast. If they're looking at my calendar to book a time to do the interview, I am letting them know what time I let people book time with me. When am I opening up my life to allow others to say, I am going to take that chunk of time from you? So I have every Friday is just blocked off to the outside world. I do not allow people to take time from me on Fridays. I just don't. Every Monday morning, the first hour to hour and a half of when I sit down to start my work week is unavailable for meetings or appointments. I know I would like to have that time when starting off my week to kind of gather my thoughts and get ready to go and do kind of my week start routine. Now, even when I was in corporate, and I really want to talk to anyone out there that's working that kind of corporate W-2 job, just because they kind of own, if you will, or have bought your time for a set amount every single day, doesn't mean they own complete control over your calendar. All right. I know that if I had kept my calendar wide open in my corporate days, I could have spent 40 hours a week in meetings, right? Let me know if you can relate. So even if you're in a corporate setting, like I always had my calendar blocked after 3 o'clock on Fridays. I'm like, I am not doing Friday afternoon, 4 o'clock meetings. And it gave me the time I needed to wrap up my work week, get my planning done for the next week, like make sure everything was handled on a Friday afternoon. Same with Monday mornings. I didn't allow anyone to take my time, my first hour in the office of the week. Now, here's the good news with using those calendaring tools. You can mark things as just being busy without people being able to see what it is, right? You don't have, I just would say unavailable, right? It's just marked as busy and that's that. Not available to be booking a meeting. Now, do I make exceptions every now and again? Of course, but it's very intentional. So, how now do I not duplicate everything back and forth? So, if you're thinking of, all right, this digital calendar is where perhaps appointments come in, right? Maybe someone books a meeting with you. Maybe the orthodontist sends me an email and I choose to add it to my calendar for my daughter's next orthodontist appointment, so on and so forth. Along with protecting all of your time there. Now, when I sit down to do my weekly planning, all right, I'm doing the detailed plan for the upcoming week in my paper planner. So, will I have to duplicate a few things? Yes, but very few. So, the only thing that I am duplicating in my paper planner that was living on my digital calendar are those appointments made with others. Right. So I'm looking at my paper calendar for this week. So I can see that today I had a 90-minute training session that I went to that was on my digital calendar. So, yes, I had to write down that I was going to be doing that training session. Tomorrow I am teaching and I have a meeting. So both of those were on my Google Calendar that I did have to write those down here. But friends, that part of just taking the appointments and writing them into my paper planner takes less than a minute. Okay. So this isn't like this huge time. Now, from here on out, when I am outlining the details of my week, remember how I talked about you can leverage that digital calendar to protect all those pockets of time, right? When am I not taking appointments? Well, when I'm sitting down to do my weekly plan in my paper planner only, is where I am layering in exactly how I'm spending the time that I had blocked as unavailable in my digital Google Calendar. Right. So, for example, I mentioned I block off my Friday workday for external meetings. Well, when I look at my Friday on my paper planner, I have quite a few things written down on Friday because I had decided during my weekly planning session how I was going to spend that time this Friday. So I have 3 blocks written out on Friday with the specific projects that I am working on. Now, I'm not going back into my Google Calendar and adding those in. I don't need to. That time is blocked. Nobody's going to come in and take an appointment. All right. So if you kind of reframe, if you want to do your detailed weekly planning in a paper planner, then what you can do is you can set up that Google Calendar to serve you in a way that where it is protecting the time that you don't want other people taking from you. So now that, when I sit down, I typically do my planning for the upcoming week, either on a Friday or a Sunday. I'm layering in all the detail here on my paper planner, which now means throughout the week, I'm not having to constantly be opening up my Google Calendar to go, what am I doing next? What am I doing next? I'm just looking right here at my desk on my paper planner and I'm operating from that. And I'm also knowing that for the future weeks, because I have blocks of times that are just always marked as unavailable on my calendar, I don't have to get too stressed out about wondering, gosh, is all my time going to be gone next week? Right. I keep some of those as recurring appointments. Now, if I see like through an email, oh, hey, add this appointment to your calendar, I may, like, let's say there's something being added to my calendar for next week. I will likely, and the habit I have is I will go look at my calendar to go, yep, there, it's added in there. Do I need to protect any time that day? Right. So maybe I had a Wednesday where my day was kind of wide open and suddenly an hour gets booked. All right. Well, I am kind of in the habit of going, let me just go ahead and protect the 30 minutes before that and the 30 minutes after that and just block it off real quick so no one can like back to back me. All right. So again, I'm capturing appointments and then I'm protecting the time that I need. So when the time comes for me to do my detailed plan for the next week, I know I've protected what I need to. And then I'm layering all the details of how I'm spending my time inside of my paper planner. So I hope that you have found this helpful. Let me know if you are now starting to think about hopping into your Google or iCal or Outlook to go, ooh, let me start thinking about blocking off some time to make sure that everybody else isn't coming in and grabbing it all. I promise you, it will be a game changer for you. You don't have to set up recurring appointments. You could kind of do it once a week for the upcoming week, right? You can kind of decide what that rhythm is going to be, but recognize the first thing you need to do is pick what is that one central tool going to be? Where are you going to look throughout the day to remind yourself of what you're doing and when you're doing it? That's the master. And that's where all the detail lives. So if you're using a paper planner, it's likely going to be that. So now you build your digital calendar in a way that supports you. All right, Shauna says she's blocked off some time for the remainder of the month, and then she's going to go in and block off time in December. I love that. I have a lot of time blocked off in December as well. My daughter, is home for a couple weeks on school break, and I want to make sure that I'm protecting the time that I want to spend just hanging out with her as well. All right, guys, happy planning. And remember, if you are looking for a paper planner for the new year, or even now, because it's undated, highly recommend the top planner. It comes in 4 different colors, as you see back here. It supports this weekly planning process, and the fact that it is undated, it does come with an entire year for you, means you could start using it for the month of December, right? So you can go check those out at thetop planner.com. Go see the colors, the sizes, all of that out there. They ship out real quick. All right, good. And Melissa's going to go block off time every week as well. All right. Happy time protecting. And Melissa, I'm thrilled that your top planner is arriving on Saturday. I love that. All right, everyone. See you back here real soon.